Segment 2. Tell me how to pronounce a word. Normalute?
Normalute.
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 This segment, The Danger of Normalute. Quote, you, in another essay and commentary. One might say that in the wake of George W. Bush's presidency, Barack Obama is promising his fellow citizens and the world a kind of American normalute. Give us the meaning of the term and where you're drawing the parallel from.
Normalute means is a Hebrew word. It's an Israeli coinage meaning essentially to live a normal political life or a normal everyday existence.
Normalcy, normalness.
Well, yeah, what Warren Harding called normalcy.
Barack Obama's pursuit of normalute, attempting to make America a normal country as he understands it, invokes, you write, quote, the chaos of Yeats' The Second Coming. Things fall apart, the center cannot hold, mere anarchy is loosed upon the world. Isn't that a little apocalyptic?
Perhaps, except for this. We are, what I'm trying to get at is that in essentially suing for world peace.
Right.
In his speech in Cairo in 2009, in saying that, effectively saying that there is no such thing as American exceptionalism, meaning sort of the specific American mission in the world to help establish, democracies and democratic institutions, that just as Americans feel that there's American exceptionalism, just as Greeks feel there's Greek exceptionalism, and Brits feel there's British exceptionalism.
We're just another country.
We are just another country. We want what everybody else wants. We don't want to lead. We want to be your friend, and everything should be nice. And a lot of the things that we've done in the past have been counterproductive and haven't helped you. And so we just want to be normal like you, be our friend. And the reason that I am apocalyptic and think that this is using the Israeli experience is that when the United States says we do not wish to be the formidable, leader of the world, at a time when, in particular, an irredentist, millenarian, apocalyptic regime sitting on the world's fourth largest oil reserves, in the ancient country of Persia, has a leader who is threatening to wipe another nation off the map, and using technology that is being handed to him or sold to him by the Russians and the French and the Germans. A United States that does not stand and say this cannot happen, this cannot be, and we will do what is necessary to stop it, is a United States that might be leading, might be in its refusal to accept the responsibilities that have been laid upon it by world leadership, to stand by while an apocalypse occurs. That is the great fear.
Israel is surrounded by hostile populations. At least at this historical moment, Israel simply cannot be normal. It's really not a realistic option. And the search for normalcy is a denial in some way of reality. Likewise, the United States, in this historical moment, has certain responsibilities, and if it shirks them, things will get very much worse very quickly.
And that's pretty much right, because I think the classic problem that we face is a classic American problem through 2 centuries, which is when we disengage from the world, things get worse, not better. It would be wonderful if that were not necessarily the case. Who wants to bear the burdens? Who wants to be responsible for helping to maintain order?
The English, the Little Englander movement, the English were able to withdraw from empire and from the responsibilities of the world because the United States was emerging to shoulder them. No one is emerging to shoulder our responsibilities.
Well, think about this, and think about this in various places. Where one of the circumstances that we face in the world as it stands is a kind of withdrawal from leadership. think about China, the United States, and North Korea. It was the presumption of the administration of George W. Bush that China, having become a major world economic power, with a crazy regime on its own doorstep developing a nuclear weapon, would see in its own very narrow self-national interest that it was in its interest to do what it could to stop North Korea. It's North Korea's only trading partner. All it needed to do was, squeeze a little bit and they would stop. And China did not do so. Why did China not do so? Because China does not wish to possess that kind of world leadership, does not wish to exert that kind of influence. It has its own agenda and its own goals and its own methodology of doing this. All around the world, we see a withdrawal, a contraction, a retraction of an interest in maintaining order regionally, or we see people who are bad actors or dangerous actors, Hugo Chavez in Venezuela, Putin and Medvedev in Russia, who are seeking to establish some form of regional control, but we don't want them to. Their form of regional control is crushing freedoms. It is emboldening gangsters, and it is, in some sense, leading to the number one agenda item on Obama's foreign policy is nuclear nonproliferation. And what do we see? Because he has no policy toward Russia that would confront Russia's proliferating regime, Russia is helping Iran build its nuclear capacity. Because he will not confront Hugo Chavez himself is talking about buying a nuclear capacity. That's
Iranians.
His agenda,
right.
Nuclear nonproliferation. That's the agenda that he says is the most important foreign policy aim of his presidency.